Hello and welcome to my WWE Super ShowDown 2020 predictions. There are 7 matches announced, so I'm going to go through who I think is going to win them all. There's also, on my new channel, EBEZAsimsgames, there's 6 match simulations. One of them, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, I couldn't simulate without using someone's community creations, which I thought would be unbalanced because they're not properly balanced by 2K into the game. Because we've never had Big E, Kofi Kingston, The Miz, and John Morrison all in the same wrestling game at the same time. Believe it or not, that's just never happened. So that match, there's no simulation. At the moment of recording, the 2-8 trophy still has simulation still has Rusev in it. However, I might try to re-record that if there's time with Rey Mysterio as the replacement, as announced. As they've not announced, but they've just changed the graphics because obviously everyone forgets immediately 1 week later what happened the previous week. So so there's 7 matches in total. I'm going to go through who I think is going to win each one. And you guys can let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win. I'm not going to discuss who 2K20 predicted in the match simulations, just because that's taking views away from myself. Feel free to go check it out and see for yourselves who the game's picking and what they agree with me, what they agree with you, what we agree with, like me and you. Like, let me know in the comments. Let's get a conversation going. So we're gonna start with the SmackDown Women's Championship match, which is the first Women's Championship match in Saudi Arabia. There was a women's match between Natalya and Lacey Evans last year, which was a big momentous event. Now we're actually having a Women's Championship defended, which is another step in the right direction, I suppose. For all the criticism of these events, and I'm not saying it's unwarranted, I try not to get into like the politics of all this. This is a wrestling channel, not a politics channel. Like I feel like some people get so hung up on the politics of it, they forget to discuss that there's actually a wrestling show going on. So I just decided to look at it from a wrestling perspective. But there's no denying that this has been 2 big steps forward. First, the Natalya Lacey match was a huge step forward, and now this is a smaller but still significant step forward. In terms of who I think will win, now that they've accelerated this match to Super ShowDown, I thought this was going to be the WrestleMania match, Naomi and Bayley, and potentially have Naomi win the title. Now, I think Bayley's going to retain, and it's going to be Bayley versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. I feel like Sasha's been kept off TV probably longer than necessary at this point. So I feel like they're gonna finally have the blow off to their feud where they were turning on each other, but then suddenly were BFFs again and won the women's tag team championships. They're finally gonna blow off that feud at WrestleMania, I think. So Bayley to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. Next, and I'm just working bottom to top on WWE.com as they seem to be in rough order of priority. So I'm not saying this is exact order of priority or the match card order or anything, but this is just going bottom to top on WWE.com's listings. So the next match they've got listed above Naomi and Bayley is the Raw Tag Team Championship match between Seth Rollins and Murphy defending against the Street Profits. Now, when I first saw this match, I was like, well, this is an easy defense. This is an easy predict. But the more I think about it, the more I wonder, do I see Rollins and Murphy going into WrestleMania with the tag titles? And also, they've got this story building about how the forces combining against Seth and his crew are growing and are becoming more cohesive. Like, there's the Viking Raiders, or whatever they're calling them this week. There's Kevin Owens, there's Samoa Joe, there's the Street Profits. There's actually more good guys in this feud than bad guys now. So I'm actually not 100% sure on this anymore, because I feel like there could be sort of like a wonky finish, Kevin Owens interference or anyone really interference and cost Seth Rollins and Murphy the match. Oh, do I want to predict that though? That's a bold prediction, to predict the Street Profits over Rollins and Murphy. That's a bold prediction. It might not be Owens. Doesn't Owens not go to Saudi? Doesn't Owens refuse to go to Saudi because they won't let Sami Zayn go, and they're like best friends? Okay, I'm going to say there's still plenty of time. There's still Elimination Chamber, and there's plenty of Raws to take the Raw Tag Team Championships off Seth Rollins and Murphy before WrestleMania. So I'm going to say they're going to retain. It just seems like the obvious answer. I wouldn't be completely shocked to see a swerve, but Street Profits haven't really been built as a tag team championship caliber team just yet. They've mostly been doing backstage segments, couple of occasional matches. It's, I wouldn't say they've been built up to be at that level. So I'm going to say Rollins and Murphy to retain. Up next, we have the 2-8 Trophy Gauntlet match, which is now between, now let me see if I can do this off memory, I've not got them on screen, AJ Styles, Andrade, Bobby Lashley, Rey Mysterio, R-Truth, and... Oh, I knew I'd forget one. Quick, get it on the screen. And Rowan. Eric Rowan, that's right, Eric Rowan. Okay, so, who do I think is going to win? AJ Styles. I feel like AJ Styles, there's the rumour that he's being built to do the match with The Undertaker. He's just started talking about being the greatest of any era, which is very much implying that there's going to be some sort of challenge between AJ Styles and one of the legends, one of the old timers. So Undertaker's definitely forefront there. Goldberg's a possibility as well, I suppose. He could come over from SmackDown. I don't think Goldberg is in any way, shape or form exclusively signed to SmackDown. Potentially a Triple H match. Potentially a younger guy, because don't forget AJ Styles isn't a young guy. He's not, he's not a young whippersnapper, up and comer. He's one of the established guys, so maybe he could take on a younger guy. But I think it's building up to the Undertaker match that's been rumoured. So I feel like he should pick up the win here. He's got the most to gain from a win in terms of build to WrestleMania. So yeah, I'm going to pick AJ Styles to pick up the 2-8 trophy. Either that or, Undertaker's usually on these shows, so maybe AJ Styles could be in the final two and could lose because Undertaker's gong or something and distracts him. But I'm just going to pick AJ Styles. Seems the most straightforward solution. If Undertaker is going to wrestle at WrestleMania, that might be why he's not on this card. Because obviously asking him to do 2 matches in his physical condition within a couple of months is probably a bit much, to be honest. And they probably don't want the match with AJ, if it is happening, to tank because Undertaker's in no fit state. So yeah, AJ Styles to win. Steel cage match, Roman Reigns versus King Corbin. I didn't know his name had officially changed to King Corbin. I thought that was just like his gimmick, but they don't even refer to him as Baron anymore, do they? It's just King Corbin. Anyway, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns wins this. The rumour is that Roman Reigns is either going to be challenging for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, taking on The Fiend, or he's going to be taking on Goldberg. He's going to have some sort of big match, so he needs some momentum. Baron Corbin never loses any momentum by losing a match. If he did, he wouldn't be in the position he was now. Roman Reigns wins the steel cage, the be-all, end-all. He wins the feud. You don't tend to win a feud against Roman Reigns. The final match goes to Reigns as a general rule. So yeah, Roman Reigns to win. Easy predictions. This is going to be a short video for one of my predictions videos. Sometimes they go nearly an hour. This one, I'm over halfway through and we're 8.5 minutes in or something. Next, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. The New Day, Big E and Kofi against Miz and Morrison. I feel like this could be a title change. They've built up Miz and Morrison ever since Morrison returned, basically at the start of the year. They've been building them up, and I feel like they like to give the Saudi crowd a title change. I feel like there's been a title change on most of the shows. There's been a couple of new champions crowned because there's been vacant titles going in, but I still count that. I think on track record, I don't know. I've not got all the results in front of me or some sort of photographic memory. But my impression is there's nearly always been someone who wasn't champion coming in, holding a belt up coming out, to make it feel like a significant event. It almost feels like it's part of the deal at this point. And I think it might be Miz and Morrison. I think that could be a good title to change. I'd certainly prefer it to either of the other two, and I'll get onto those in a second. So yeah, I'm going to predict Miz and Morrison to win. I feel like they're definitely winning the SmackDown tag titles at some point. If Kofi and Big E win clean here, where'd you go to continue the story? That's my thing, is if the face champions retain cleanly, that feels like the end of a feud, and I don't think this feud ends without Miz and Morrison picking up those belts. Unless Xavier comes back. I don't know when he's due back. I don't know what the nature of his injury is, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't know how long he's out for. But if he comes back and helps New Day win, then maybe they can continue the feud. But I think it's more likely Miz and Morrison pick up the win. Next, The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Goldberg. So, we had the confrontation on SmackDown. Goldberg speared The Fiend, and after a little bit of selling, a sufficient amount, I would say, considering The Fiend's character and how he's been taking moves since he debuted against Finn Balor in terms of match. I think this was sufficient selling of the spear. I feel like Goldberg's here for the payday. Fiend wins, maybe kicks out of a jackhammer, maybe gets straight up from a spear. I don't know, but they've invested a lot in the Fiend, and I know this is WWE and we shouldn't have faith in them to book things correctly, but they've invested a lot into the Fiend of late, and I don't feel like that you do that to then have Goldberg beat him. I feel like Bray Wyatt and the Fiend as a combined package is one of the most interesting characters they've got at the moment. His matches are really fun. He's not AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan in the ring. He's not the greatest in-ring worker of all time or anything like that. But he's great at telling the story of his matches, and he's really coming across as like the indestructible horror movie villain. And I don't feel like you gain anything by beating him with Goldberg. I feel like that just completely halts his momentum and doesn't give momentum to anyone else in place, because let's face it, Goldberg doesn't need the momentum, and Goldberg is going to be sticking around. If he wins the Universal Championship here, he's losing it at WrestleMania and disappearing again. Like, I don't feel like they gain anything from that. The only theory I have heard is that they want to put the Universal title on Reigns at WrestleMania, and they feel like he'd get booed out the building if he beats The Fiend, so you get the heat on Goldberg, and then people are happy to see Reigns beat Goldberg. You almost use Goldberg as the heel in this situation, in terms of the smart fans' attitudes anyway, maybe not the casual fans. So, and the casual fans will still cheer for Reigns, even if he's beating Goldberg. So, win-win kind of thing. But I don't like that theory. I totally can see it happening. I wouldn't like bet my house on this match or anything like this. But I'm gonna predict Bray Wyatt. I'm gonna have a bit of faith. They've done well with the Fiend character so far and the Bray Wyatt character. Even the Funhouse Bray match that he had with the Miz was great. Like in terms of story and the way the character is portrayed, in terms of character work within a match, it was brilliant. So yeah, I'm predicting Bray Wyatt. And the main event, speaking of betting your house, I would bet my house on this one. Brock Lesnar's beating Ricochet for a few reasons. First of all, is Ricochet currently being portrayed as WWE Championship material? Don't count the last 2 weeks when he's won matches. Like, is Ricochet WWE Championship material? He's doing well. Like, don't get me wrong, he's booked fairly well, but he is not booked as a legitimate threat to the WWE Championship scene. Second of all, they are obviously building Lesnar-Drew. Like, that's the most obvious WrestleMania match, except for maybe Orton Edge at the moment. So, it's clearly going to stick with... I mean, they could pull a swerve, pull a fast one, and put the belt back on Lesnar at Elimination Chamber, but they won't. Simply put, the Saudi crowd isn't going to want to see Ricochet beat Brock Lesnar. They love their old-timers, which is part of the reason I'm slightly concerned about the Goldberg-Bray Wyatt thing, because they love seeing their casual fans, basically. If they were booking the show, Lesnar, Goldberg, Reigns... and Rollins would definitely win because they're the big stars. Like, they would just book the big stars to win. But I don't necessarily think WWE is going to go that route. However, with Lesnar, they are going to go that route. And I think Lesnar 100% retains here and then moves on to fully focus on his feud with Drew McIntyre. And yeah, there's no value in... I don't think in exchanging the title, because that takes away from Drew's win at WrestleMania. It's not as big a deal that he's beaten Lesnar because it's just happened, so it doesn't make him special. And there's definitely no merit in Drew beating Ricochet for the WWE title at WrestleMania. Like, unless the sneaky plan here is to completely make Ricochet by having him beat Brock Lesnar and then Drew McIntyre, which it isn't, let's be honest, then we know how this match is going to go. So let me know in the comments who you think is going to win. Just to recap my predictions, I'm predicting Bayley, Rollins and Murphy, AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Miz and Morrison, Bray Wyatt, and Brock Lesnar. Let me know in the comments who you think, what logic of mine you agree with and disagree with. Like, let me know why you think something different to me. If you think Goldberg's definitely winning the Universal title, for example, lay out to me why that makes sense, even if it's just because Vince is an idiot. I don't know, like, just lay out to me why you think that makes sense. It's more interesting to have a bit of a conversation than to just sort of say, I think this, and no conversation stems from it, kind of thing. So yeah, let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new here. Don't forget to check out the match simulations over on EBEZASimsgames, linked in the description, and also subscribe over there. Also, don't forget to tell your friends if they are into wrestling and they're going to be watching this show and you think they'd enjoy taking part in a predictions conversation and hearing what I have to say, and maybe they've got a strong opinion against something I'd say, so they'd like to get into a debate with me. Whatever. Tell them about this video. Get them involved. Like I said, check out the description for my other channels, my social media, my Patreon. You can support me for just $1 per calendar month. It would be greatly appreciated. It's all in the description below. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been EBEZA, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.